Good evening. Welcome to our Joya-e Service on New Year's Eve, December 31st of 2021. Our service will open with ringing of Kancho, followed by Sutra Chanting of Juseige. Then Reverend Mukojima will deliver a Dharma message, and then I will give a short year-end message. Then the Mountain View Buddhist Temple Choir will present a previously recorded version of Ondokudan I. Then we'll have a year-end message from Temple President Bob Matsumoto. If you're with us in our Zoom meeting on New Year's Eve, please stay and join us for Joya no Kane at home, where everybody will have a chance to ring a bell from your home through Zoom until we reach the at least 108 tolls to close our year of 2021. Thank you for joining us.
Namanda, Butz, Namanda, Butz, Namanda, Butz, Namanda, Butz, Namanda, Butz, Namanda, Butz, Namanda, Butz. The spirit of Ichigo Ichie, once whether a meeting or a moment, it is a last opportunity. Namanda, Butz, Namanda, Butz, Namanda, Butz, Namanda, Butz, Namanda, Butz. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for your online participation in our last gathering of 2021, the Joya-e Service. There are only a few hours left of this year. I hope that all of you are now relaxing and ready to welcome the new year in good spirits. Now, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of our Sangha members and Dharma friends for your warm friendship and continued support in the past year. どうもいろいろお世話になりありがとうございました。How was 2021 for you? I think that it was a challenging and stressful year because you've sacrificed so many activities in your daily lives due to the pandemic. Certainly, because of the vaccinations, we've been gradually adjusting ourselves to this situation. But our family activities and the travels are still restricted by the threat of the new variant. So I know very well that all of us sincerely want to get back to normal next year. 2021 was a really tough year for me because of my mother's passing. Nothing's more painful and sad in this world than losing your mother. It was especially difficult because COVID prevented me from going back to the family temple for my mother's funeral. This sad occasion reminded me of the day over 20 years ago when I received a Kaikyoshi certificate from Honganji. Before coming to the US, I had an interview with Honganji officials. One of their questions was, what does it mean to become a Kaikyoshi minister? I quickly responded, to be able to share the joy of the Nembutsu teaching with many more people living outside Japan. But they told me that my response was wrong. They said things like, to become a Kaikyoshi minister means that when your parents die, you cannot be with them. Once you go abroad as a Kaikyoshi minister, if when your parents pass away, you cannot return to Japan by setting aside your duties there. You are obliged to carry out your duties for your BCA members. That's what it means to become a Kaikyoshi. Knowing this, are you ready to go to the US as a Kaikyoshi minister? Since I began serving Sanghas in the BCA, I've lost both of my grandmothers. So when my mom passed away last May, I was vividly reminded of what those Honganji officials had told me. I was not able to attend either of my grandmother's funerals. But at that time, I would never have imagined that I wouldn't be able to attend my own mother's funeral because of a worldwide pandemic. Certainly, about 100 years ago, Kaikyoshi ministers came to the US by boat, not plane. So they came here with the understanding that they might not be able to see their loving family or friends again. When I think deeply about this, I cannot help but to respect the unselfish efforts and dedication of the Kaikyoshi ministers of the past. As I mentioned in my last Dharma talk, my mom often said to me, "Don't cause others trouble." And before I came to America, she said things like, "I won't allow you to give up and come back to Japan, even if you cannot get used to the life and the culture there. Many people have made it possible for you to live abroad to serve the BCA. And many members of the temple you are assigned to have also worked hard to welcome you and make it possible for you to live comfortably. You should never forget these facts, so just do your best." This is how my mom showed me the right path to meet the challenge of my new life as Kaikyoshi outside of Japan. But of course, whenever my family and I visited Japan during my summer break, my mom really enjoyed our annual reunion. She especially marveled at how much her grandkids had grown. We last visited Japan in 2019, and because we hadn't met up with my parents for over 2 years, we really missed having a family reunion. Had I known it would be our very last time ever to spend with her, I would have taken advantage of the chance to spend time with her, letting her know how grateful I was for everything she had ever done for me with her love and compassion. Although we are taught in Buddhism that life is impermanent too often, it is not till we lose something very important that we suddenly realize how grateful we should be for what we have. Now, I cannot help but feel a deep sense of appreciation for the annual family reunion that I had so long taken for granted. I'm also reminded of one of life's most important lessons, Ichigo Ichie. As I shared with you in the opening meditation, Ichigo Ichie means that once whether a meeting or a moment, it is a last opportunity. This is a Buddhist concept of treasuring an unrepeatable moment. This phrase makes us realize that each meeting and everything we experience is a precious treasure which will never happen in the same way again. So we should always remember how important it is to find value and joy in every encounter. If we waste a once-in-a-lifetime encounter with the joy, the moment will be gone forever. Keeping the spirit of Ichigo Ichie in mind helps us develop our insight and reminds us that every moment we spend with our loving family, children, and friends is valuable and worthy of our full attention. If we are always mindful of this spirit, even if we have to face adverse circumstances like the pandemic we now experience, there is something new or important we can learn from them as well. The awareness and the cultivation of the spirit give us energy and vitality to embrace the future without anxiety. Then we can learn to live fully and happily in the moment and acknowledge the precious gift of each and every encounter. We should also realize that there is no one who can be with us throughout our entire lives. No matter how much we love them, the reality of death means that we have to separate from one another one day. When I was together with my parents in 2019, I assumed without a doubt that we would meet again the following summer. But I've since lost my mom without a chance to tell her at her last moment how much I love her. So no matter how much we regret our actions later, time never comes back. That's why we should accept the truth of impermanence in the spirit of Ichigo Ichie, so that we can treasure each moment spent with our loved ones without any regrets. My mother's passing has left a big void in my life. But when I received thoughtful messages and expressions of sympathy from so many Sangha members, I realized that I'm not alone. Your existence made me realize that my spiritual home is the heart of our Sangha, guided by the Nembutsu. I felt so grateful to have such wonderful Dharma friends here in the US. Although I felt my mother's loss deeply, your kind and loving words have helped me and my family during this very difficult time. I know my mother's love still lives in the voice of my Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu. We are always one in our Gassho and the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu. I can rejoice in the great teaching of Jodo Shinshu, Kue Issho, described in the Amida Sutra. It means that we'll be together in one place. So when we are born in the Pure Land, we will see one another again as Buddhas. In other words, we'll become one with Amida Tathagata, just as all rivers flow into the great ocean and become one in taste with it. Thanks to the promise to see my mom in the Pure Land, I'll continue to do my best to carry out my ministerial duties with the spirit of Ichigo Ichie, treasuring each moment as a Kaikyoshi minister. I know this is the finest tribute I can pay to my mom. My family and I express our sincere appreciation for the kind and thoughtful gestures that you have shown us during our difficult time. 本当にありがとうございました。We really appreciate your generous support. I'm also grateful to our temple leaders for their hard work to provide creative ways to hold the services and the temple activities online, accepting every change and challenge so that our Sangha can feel connected to one another from the safety of our homes. Also, thank you very much our minister's assistants, John and Devon, for their unselfish efforts in joining me for the online services in the past year. Thanks to their participation and the wonderful Dharma talks, all of our Sangha members really enjoyed online services every Sunday. We are really so fortunate to have such dependable assistants. And I'd like to express my special thanks to our temple president, Bob, for his great leadership and dedication in the past year. Although this year was his first year of presidency, with his incredible leadership and a sense of responsibility, he did a fantastic job in uniting our Sangha and leading us successfully in spite of the challenge of the pandemic. I cannot thank him deeply enough for his spirit of giving, selflessness, and dedication for the benefit of our temple and the Sangha. I sincerely hope that he will continue as our temple president to help us maintain our temple community in peace and harmony. お疲れ様でした。Thank you so much, Bob, for your dedication. In closing, I sincerely hope that all of you will enjoy a new year filled with happiness, peace, and good health as you embrace the Nebutsu teaching. Together, let's make 2022 a valuable year with a spirit of Ichigo Ichie. Okay? Happy New Year, everyone. Please join me in Gassho. The spirit of Ichigo Ichie. Once, whether a meeting or a moment, it is a last opportunity. Namanda butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu.
When sentient beings of the evil world of the five defilements entrust themselves to the selected primal vow, virtues beyond description, explanation, and conceptual understanding fill those practices. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, 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 namanda. Good evening, everyone. The opening meditation of my year-end message is a wasan, or hymn, written by Shinran Shonin that reflects on the teachings of the seven masters of Jodo Shinshu. Shinran is telling us that once one has fully entrusted in Amida's primal vow, they become a mind aspiring for enlightenment that is true other power. The virtues that fill a person who has realized the practice of true Shinjin are inconceivable. When we reflect on the past year, the world's gone through many things that were previously inconceivable. COVID-19 virus evolves into new variants that continue to keep us all masked and distanced from each other, like even on New Year's Eve and tomorrow morning and New Year's morning. We'll be doing virtual services. The ripple effects of the pandemic on the world's economy and global supply chain, the ports, all the end-use things that we would like to have had that maybe we couldn't quite get or didn't get as fast as we would like to have. Remind us that everything is interconnected all around the world. Just when the world thought the spread of COVID-19 might be coming under control, the Omicron variant changed the course of how we were trying to end the isolation and distancing we've been practicing for almost the past 2 years. The impact and duration of this pandemic was inconceivable even as little as 2 years ago. Yet we're experiencing the reality of it today. As I look back over this past year, it reminds me that the inconceivable can happen and become reality. This description in the wasan of other power being beyond understanding, or as I said, inconceivable, is why many English translations previously had used the word faith as the translation for Shinjin. And if people have noticed over the past few years, in Jodo Shinshu thought, we've been trying to avoid the use of the word faith as a English translation of Shinjin. But as we are closing this year, I would like to use the word faith and have this closing thought about how we should exit the year and prepare for next year. We all need to have faith that there will be a way to continue our lives with COVID-19 and whatever variant becomes of it. It may feel inconceivable right now, but we should all have faith in the many scientists and doctors working to find solutions. While we should probably not expect to completely return to life as it was before the pandemic, we should have faith that the world will find a way to overcome the pandemic so we can resume our lives without distancing and isolation. until that solution is realized. I urge everyone and remind everyone we should continue to do all we can to keep ourselves and everyone around us safe and healthy. Please join me in Gassho. When sentient beings of the evil world of the 5 defilements entrust themselves to the selected primal vow, virtues beyond description, explanation, and conceptual understanding build those practices. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu.
Good evening, everyone. Although we all hoped and expected to return to some level of normalcy this year, we are still faced with pandemic-related challenges. As the year comes to an end, I'd like to thank everyone for your perseverance in staying connected and engaged with one another, to our Sangha, and to the Dharma. I'm looking forward to a bright 2022. In closing, I'd like to thank Reverend Mukojima and John Arima for their Dharma messages tonight, and to the choir for presenting Ondokudan I.
Thank you, Sensei, for your very heartfelt Dharma message today to close our year of 2021, and the message that reminds us all of the deeper meaning of Ichigo Ichie and how we should all reflect on what that means to everything we do at every moment, not just with a simple translation of once in a lifetime, but to the deeper meaning of the causes and conditions that always surround it in the past and in the future. Again, if you are joining us via Zoom, we will end this recorded service and do Joya no Kane at home. So please have something nearby and ready, and each individual in our Zoom meeting will ring at home to help us achieve the 108 tolls of a bell to close 2021. Thank you.